All good things
Yeah.
for those who wait. All right. You are in charge, sir.
That was easy.
Yeah, my hair looks like yours now, Jason. I pulled it all out. So, production planning is an area I look at a lot when I'm talking to shops about cycle time. And the big deal is, how do we get from this crashed Audi to a nice one, completed, repaired? Some people think it's easy. You hand a damage appraisal to a technician and tell them to fix it. But we forget there's a lot of steps involved to get from that wrecked Audi to the repaired Audi. Give you an example. I was helping a shop work through some cycle time things, and he had a stack of tickets that he was getting ready to hand out. And I picked one up. I said, "Is this ready for the technician?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Well, is the repair ready for the technician?" He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you've got a damaged car and you've got a technician, and I can see you've got a repair plan, but do you have everything you need so this technician doesn't have to stop? Do you have everything you need to get this vehicle repaired without that technician coming and asking you questions?" And I use this reference because it really scares me every time I put my backpack into this security scanner. And I relate my backpack to a vehicle repair. I know exactly what is in my backpack. And I know just about in every airport, it's going to go through fine with my computer, my iPad, my Bluetooth speaker, my 2 cell phones and stuff. It's going to go through there, except for Chattanooga, Tennessee. I know it's not going to make it there. But thinking about that repair and how we hand that repair to the technician, goes out to the shop, and there's a lot of hope involved that that car, like my backpack, comes out the other end of that scanner done without any type of complications. The only way that can happen is with planning. There's going to be chaos in a collision center. There's going to be chaos in a repair. We're never going to be able to eliminate all of it. But if we take some time and plan a repair and make sure a vehicle is ready to be repaired, that there's everything we have necessary to make sure that technician doesn't have to stop. I've broken this down into kind of 5 steps. First, we've got to look at that damage appraisal and look at the operation cited on there. Are there any questions that are unanswered between the repair line and line notes? Have we documented all the materials that we're going to need? Sublets. What about verifying that the repair was actually validated through OEM repair process? Are we going to have a technician coming to us and asking us, "Hey, can you get into all data for me so I can look at this, how to take this door apart?" Or, "Hey, I got this quarter panel, but I've never done one on a new Honda Civic before." Talking to the paint team, determining when things are going to be painted, maybe painted off the car. Do we have to refinish a rear body panel before we put it in? And then finally, getting the people involved, you know, do I have any back ordered parts? What needs to happen for the body technician to be able to complete the repair? So reviewing the vehicle damage appraisal. I mean, you got to stop and throw up the red flag. If that vehicle was not completely disassembled and all the damage has not been identified, that vehicle's not ready for repair. In times like this, when I know shops are a little slow, a car comes in the door and you want to get that out into the shop as quick as possible. But not stopping and reviewing the vehicle completely and marrying it up against your repair plan, it doesn't matter how good that repair plan is if we haven't identified all the damage and be able to see everything that needs to be done. Then we got to focus on all the bits and pieces, the types of parts being used. What about the fasteners? Are there one-time use fasteners? That's where our parts people come involved. What kind of steam sealers, different corrosion protection, sound deadening pans, new F-150 door. When you put a new F-150 door in, it is not seam sealed, doesn't have any of the sound pads in place, and there is no cavity wax. So there's 3 different things that you might run into that would cause the technician to need to stop, come and find the estimator, the parts guy, or the manager to get what they need to complete the repair. Glasswork, I was in South Carolina, there was a bunch of hail damage. They were putting a bunch of roofs on. The production manager was just pushing the work out as fast as he could grab keys. He was getting it to technicians. Well, within a couple hours, they had roofs partially cut off, waiting for glass people to come and take the glass out. 5 repairs in limbo. And the technicians were asking for more work because they couldn't finish the jobs they had. So they needed some more work to be able to put into limbo so they can make their paycheck. So focusing on everything that needs to be done to a vehicle before that technician can even touch it is critical. Anything that's going to cause a delay is what puts a car in limbo. Validating the reference materials. Make sure the technician has everything they need. Know all the steps that they're going to need should go to that technician with the repair plan. All those repair procedures should be printed out with the job. If they're not with that repair plan, that vehicle is not ready to be repaired. You need to drill down, get all those processes in place, and then move forward. Again, double check, make sure you haven't missed out any operations, and you'll see that a couple times. Continually look and ask yourself, have I missed something? 9 times out of 10, you will. Validating the refinish requirements. Again, does that rear body panel need to be painted before it can be installed? What about the core support? You got a door, we replaced the hinges. Well, do the hinges have to be replaced separately, or are we going to send it all on a part stand to the paint shop? All those little things need to know. And this is my favorite color, that fine silver birch metallic. Are we going to find out when this thing's ready to go into paint booth that we have to blend that door? We're going to take off those emblems, the moldings, the mirrors, R&I that door? Or are we going to find that out in the review phase? All those things, if we let the repair guide itself, is what creates cars in limbo. Following up with the parts and technician, making sure we've got everything we need. Really, there should be a quick discussion, validate everything that's on the repair plan, validate everything that's on the repair procedures, make sure it's identified on the repair plan, and again, was anything missed? Is there a question that's going to pop up during the course of this repair that we have not answered? I pulled an estimate. I just picked 9 things out of this that, to me, can create questions. It's on there to blend the right front door, replace a recycled door, repair a quarter panel, align a quarter panel, repair rear bumper, has an ad for park sensors, R&I the quarter glass, blend aperture panel, and then, of course, corrosion protection. Those lines within itself doesn't tell us a lot. We have to validate all those. And here's some questions that I've seen come up. Blind the right front door, pretty standard. We know we're going to have to R&I everything on that door. What about the rear door? It says it's recycled. Is that going to be painted off the car? Or is the technician going to fit it and send it to the paint shop on the car? Because if it's painted on the car, now we're going to have to squeeze it into the paint shop to get jammed and cut in. But if we paint it off the car, it'll go with the car on a paint stand. Repairing the quarter panel, aligning the quarter panel. We're adding for park sensors. Well, is there a calibration process required? And we've got R&I the quarter glass. That's 2 separate operations. It's got to be removed, then it's got to reinstall. Who's doing it? Is it done in-house, or do we have a sublet person do it? Corrosion protection. What type? Corrosion protection doesn't tell anybody anything. So we're going to have to have an answer to that question before we move this vehicle into the repair process. As we continue to validate it, we verified that the door is going to be painted off the car. So if it's going to be on a paint stand, it's going to walk with the car, we're fine. Validation through the OEM repair processes, we determined that there is a calibration required for the park sensors in the rear bumper. We also verified that the quarter glass is going to be an external sublet process. And we verified that we need cavity wax inside the doors and inside the repaired quarter, as well as e-coating on damaged external panels. Now that we know what is going to happen, we need to determine when it's going to happen. So we're going to put these 9 processes into a logical step that everybody will be able to follow. You can identify those processes. Removing the quarter glass is a sublet operation. Aligning the quarter is probably structural. So does that mean it's going to have to be put up on a frame machine and jigged up? Repair the quarter is a body operation, so is the bumper. Then we list the refinish operations. And now a second sublet operation to put the glass back in, apply the corrosion protection, reassembly, and then, of course, mechanical operation for the park sensors. Creating a production plan is going to allow you to set up timelines for each one of these steps. This is going to help you in many, many different ways. You'll be able to schedule the sublet to take the glass out, but then you can see on Friday, the sublet appears again. So when you schedule to take the glass out, everything rotating as planned, you'll be able to put that glass back in on Friday. You'll be able to line up your structural. I don't see anything else on this schedule for structural, so we should be in good shape. We have to put this up on a frame machine, jig it up. Looks like we have one available. Body looks pretty stable. Refinish, we've got it spread over like a day and a half. You should be in good shape to get that glass put in by Friday. Then the body, which is replacing the corrosion protection, reassembly, and then we have time slated for the mechanical portion of calibrating the parking sensors and doing the road tests. To make sure everything works, we use production meetings. I like to show shops how to do these meetings 3 times a day. But there are 3 different meetings with 3 different purposes. 10 a.m. is a total shop. 2 p.m. is kind of just a technician review. And then at 4, we're doing a manager follow-up. And here's how they work. The entire shop meeting will be led by the manager. He'll be using informational reports from the management system. This particular report here shows vehicles that did not go when they were expected to go. And that's the first thing on the agenda. Review the missed deliveries, find out why they did not go. And you keep drilling down and asking why until you find out, so you can create that resolution and make that repair a priority for today. Then you want to look at all the repairs that are due today. Verify that they will be going today and that the repairs that didn't go yesterday aren't going to jar their schedule. If they are, it's good for everybody involved if we find that out at 10 o'clock in the morning rather than 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It gives us the opportunity to contact our customers, make different rental arrangements if we need to. We want to get commitments from the technicians. This car is due out today. You've got in reassembly. Can we get this to detail by 11? Get those type of commitments from those technicians. We have a car that's making in the booth right now. Hey, Joe, if we get this car to you by 1, will you have all the corrosion protection done and reassembled by 3 or 3:30 so we can start working on the calibrations? That will put it right in timeline to get delivered tomorrow morning as expected. Get those type of commitments from the technicians. Then you want to review the repairs that are supposed to go tomorrow. Find out if there's any problems going on with this vehicle so that it prevent it from going on that day. The earlier you find out about problems, the earlier you create resolutions, and the less chance you have of it actually missing its delivery date. And all this, the first couple meetings as you start implementing these will take a little bit, 30, maybe 45 minutes. But once people get into the routine, get into understanding what you're asking, they become more prepared, and they should only last about 15 minutes. Gives you a real good time to get everybody together, talk about what's going on. And I like 10 o'clock because it's about time for the first break. You're not trying to gather everybody together at 8 o'clock. Some people are straggling in or trying to get that first cup of coffee. So we've tried them at different times, and 10 o'clock just seems to work in some of the shops I've tested this in. The next meeting comes at 2 o'clock, and this is whether you use your estimators from cradle to grave or if you use a production manager. This one you go by tech by tech. You know, granted, you're only going to be talking about 2, maybe 3 cars at the most. Verify the commitments. Did we get that car reassembled? Is it going to make that 3:30 time we slated? Did that car we talked about this morning, did it get to detail before lunch? Is there anything that is coming up on the cars due tomorrow? Again, maybe you have to refocus this technician a little bit because the paint team didn't get that car out exactly like it was supposed to, but Mrs. Jones still really needs her car back. So maybe you can refocus them, stop what they're doing, and get that vehicle out. And as I go through shops and talk to them, I tell them, you know, your priorities are, you know, you need to disassemble your vehicles first. You need to reassemble your vehicle second. And then thirdly, you work on the repairs. So a technician should be accustomed, if you follow that practice, to know that they might get pulled off the vehicle they're repairing to put a vehicle together to get that vehicle out the door. The 4 o'clock meeting is basically with the manager and either the estimators or the production manager, and they're going to discuss any concerns. I say talk about this is you're managing by exceptions. What broke today? How are we going to fix it? And how are we going to prevent it from happening again? So as you work through those shortfalls, that vehicle that didn't come out of paint, why didn't it come out of the paint? Was it a piece of problem with the equipment? Was there a man down? What caused this to not move forward in production like it was planned? As you start whittling on these concerns and continually asking why did this, now you're preventing them from occurring on another vehicle. And that puts you in a position to prepare for tomorrow's 10 a.m. meeting, because you pretty much know which vehicles aren't going to go that were supposed to go. So you can start investigating the whys. So you have a game plan at your 10 o'clock meeting to get these vehicles in production in the spot they need to, so they don't go 2 days. If a vehicle is scheduled to go today, it should go no later than tomorrow if everything is planned properly, except for that little bit of chaos that we'll always find. The glass guy got stuck in traffic. Sensors didn't calibrate like they should have, and they identified another problem. You're going to have those little things. But the more that you stay up, the more you work on the exceptions, you are going to be more productive as a shop and have less and less and less to talk about at these meetings. But you don't want to stop having them, because that's when you start regressing. 3 simple meetings that will help you keep control and validate the expectations that you put into your production planning. And having that solid production plan manages you to work the exceptions, eliminate the work stoppage. We have all been here, watching those bags back up at that TSA checkpoint because somebody's bag had some it shouldn't. They stop the line, they look at, and if we think about it, we have some cars like that are sitting in limbo, that are just backing up, waiting for something. These limbo cars that are taking up shop space, taking up parking spaces in our shop, and costing rental expense. I could get into all the issues of why poor cycle time costs the shop money, but we'll have to make that another class. I think George Gallivan, he says it the best. The plan is the strategy for the successful completion of a project. Any project without a plan is a project wandering in the wilderness. If we have cars that are just wandering, if we're just giving paperwork to technicians and letting them control the repair as it meanders through the shop, wanders in the wilderness, we'll never, ever get control of cycle time, because there are too many objections to making cycle time work. There's too many reasons for that car to stop, too many questions that come up. But if we plan this repair, have everything we need up front, we will move cars progressively through the shop. So I thank you. Sorry we had a little bit of a rough start, but we certainly have some time for questions.
You know, I think everybody's learning the new reality of online, that we're getting used to getting all this technology up and going. So it's never really a rough start, is it? I'll look back through here through the chat room. The chat room is pretty good. Jason, did you have anything?
No, nothing from me.
Awesome.
Production. Oh, we got one. No,
production planning, logistics, definitely critical to proper repair. Not only, getting it out in a timely manner, but getting everything you need to do. Sometimes when we mess up on logistics is when we have the tendency to think that we'll just forget something. Now we don't have time for that and push a car out the door. So big and important topic. There's one question that's come in, John. The purpose of the meeting is to eliminate errors in production, and in this way we avoid the additional ones and the comebacks. So
yes, I agree.
Yeah, comebacks are something you should not have. I think I meet with too many shop owners that just think comebacks are a part of the business, and then will argue with you over that they're little comebacks. Of course, it's just little things. Yeah, you shouldn't have them. So clearly something was wrong in your in-process procedures that led to a comeback. So
in-process quality control. And if comebacks weren't a big thing, on that dreaded CSI thing, did you have to return to the shop? Has a lot of measurement weight on it, because there shouldn't be.
Yeah, the key with a lot of that I always remind people is that it has to be a pretty big deal when the customer returns to the shop. There may be other things that people just are living with. And a great example of that is I had a lady stop by the shop last week I had the doors open. We were out there moving equipment around, and there's a lot of people that think we're a full-time production style body shop. And she had came by. She had had her vehicle repaired in Little Rock, and she didn't want to go back to Little Rock. And none of the clips were replaced on her door trim panel. So when she would go to try to open the rear door, that door trim panel would catch on the weather strip basically, and the door would stick. And she thought her door wouldn't open. But she didn't discover it till a couple of days after she'd taken delivery, because as the driver, when she went to the shop, she just got into the driver's, door, got in the car and drove away. And it wasn't until she had tried to put her kids, in the car and then, get them out of the car that she discovered the problem. But she brought it to us. She didn't take it back to Little Rock. And I was sitting there thinking, God, what shop screws that up that much? That's a technician's head on a platter. What that is. So another question in here, John, is Vision Plus Online available in Canada?
Yes.
Yeah.
To BASF customers, yes.
Yeah. So, Ian, it is available in Canada. And occasionally BASF asked me to make French Canadian videos. So I'm pretty sure that it's even available in French Canadian in Canada. So one of those things, again, I don't know what I made, but it sounds good. So, awesome. Well, John, I appreciate your time. Thanks for sticking with it in the beginning and getting through it, with us. And then
absolutely.
we may be hollering back at you because we've got some requests to extend this into May. So I may be shooting back at you and going, give me another topic, John. So
Okay. Yep.
More to come.
We can do it. Yeah,
right.
my calendar's a little busy, but we got room.
We can always make something work, right? After looking at your calendar, I'm wondering how many. I'm glad I'm not you, dude. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. So, all right. Well, tomorrow, folks, it is a jam-packed day with 4 business hour webinars and then one little after-hour funsy thing we're gonna do that I'll tell you more about tomorrow. But we kick it off tomorrow at 10 a.m. See, Jason's already laughing. He's like, "Man, I know where this one's gonna go." We kick it off at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Kelly Logan and Carolina is back to talk about adhesives in the repair process. Now, I know that we've had like 3M. Sean Collins this week was talking about adhesives. This is Jason going to focus on adhesives in the welding process. Is that correct? Or in the rivet bonding process?
Yeah, the rivet bonding. So it's not going to be as much about the adhesive technology as much as the process and the steps required for it. So if you haven't had a chance to watch the riveting one yesterday that we did, that's available for replay. Check that out first. But they definitely go in conjunction with one another.
That was fantastic information, and that's a topic I know very little about. So I was taking a lot of notes, and then I realized, why am I taking notes? Because it's available for replay. But I don't know. Old habits die hard, right? At 12 o'clock, Mitchell will be here to talk about diagnostics, collision repair. So they're going to go over the process, labor times, tooling, some of the equipments and stuff they have. So that should be a great presentation. 2 o'clock, our Refinish Solutions Group, RSG. So it'll be Norton and Lord Fuser are back to talk about plastic repair. So they'll be giving some updates on different techniques and products for plastic repair. Always good when Doug Craig weighs in on a topic, having been the OE, being the one making the decisions for what will be OE approved procedures. I always like to hear his take. And then 4 o'clock, we got a panel discussion on diagnostics or working with a third-party provider. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. So if you've got questions about working with a remote diagnostic company, especially AirPro, we're going to have Josh and Chuck and Eric on, and they'll be available to answer any of your questions. So we got a few questions in the can, but we'd rather you ask the questions. So come with your questions about how to work with a remote diagnostic company tomorrow.
Yeah, so this is we know that you got to have OE tooling. We can't all afford to buy the OE tooling. And so OE pass-through systems become something that we lean on heavily. But it's always important in a shop you understand what's going to be expected of you and your technician. So it's not just a matter of plugging in a tool and walking away. And that you guys understand how to work with each other to get the most out of that relationship where you get to use their knowledge. Because after that Opus presentation, I don't know if a shop could ever know all of that, plus have body technicians that know all that they have to know. So jammed up day tomorrow. We look forward to seeing everybody back, and hopefully we'll see you first thing 10 a.m. Central Time tomorrow morning. Thanks, John.
Bye.